Hey everybody, Hoosier Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking episode 11 of season 8 of Dexter called Monkey in a Box. Overall, I think this is an alright episode. I wouldn't exactly say, it's an episode that's it's a slow percolation that we're seeing here. A lot of it is just sort of tying up the loose ends, in terms of what's going on with the characters, mostly at Miami Metro and things like that, and just sort of generally easing us into the sort of epiphany moment that Dexter has at the end of this episode when he decides not to kill Saxon. And I have to say, I was kind of hoping for something a little bit more intense, but I understand why they did that. And it's a bit of an interesting choice, because if you've been watching my reviews, you know that I felt that things have been way too slow lately. I mean, when Dr. Vogel got killed, that was certainly a real whoa, didn't see it coming moment, but it's just not that slam bang, one punch in the gut after the other that I'd really been hoping for, especially with this one episode left in the series finale. So, but still, there are certainly some good things to be said about what leads up to the resolution in this episode. Now, to get things started off talking about some of the stuff that in this episode, we're going to have to talk about some of the bad things, and for this I have to return to one thing that I have harped on constantly in my Dexter reviews, and that is Dexter not wearing gloves when he should. Which, of course, is exactly what he's doing at Dr. Vogel's. Now, granted, I imagine, Dexter probably keeps some gloves in his glove compartment or something, right? But no, he goes around tearing out through Dr. Vogel's house, erasing it, getting his fingerprints, all over stuff that, he really, for no logical reason, should be touching. Now, yes, it is established and known to the people at Miami Metro that Dexter has a relationship with Dr. Vogel. He describes her as a friend of the family. So it's not implausible that his fingerprints would be on things like her computer, but still, I mean, okay, maybe Dexter wiped things down and we didn't see it, but yeah. Now, what all that did lead to is Dexter making a really nice comment about how the last time, he was in a pool of his mother's blood, he was too young to do anything about that. And it's a really nice observation for Dexter to make, because it ties in to what ultimately ends up happening with Saxon at the end of the episode, and we'll get to that in a little while. Now, one thing that I did like is they did use continuity in a really interesting way. I was totally shocked to see Miguel's wife come back. That she's the real estate agent lady, in case you missed that. She does only mention Miguel Prado one time, and she just refers to him as Miguel. So if it's been a while since you caught that season, good old Jimmy Smits, yeah, we can add Bail Organa to the list of people that Dexter has killed, along with RoboCop. yeah, okay. So yeah, nice use of continuity there. The only problem is that her presence puts Dexter in the same room as Oliver Saxon. And how is that not going to cause trouble? I mean, seriously, how is this lady not, as soon as she sees the news report, go, oh my god, I need to call Miami Metro and let them know so that they can protect Dexter? Because she does seem to consider Dexter to be maybe not exactly a family friend, but she's at least friendly with Dexter. Actually, no, I would say she probably considers him to be a friend. They were extremely friendly when they were chatting at the very beginning when we first saw her again. So, she was obviously very happy to, help Dexter out of this situation, and was really busting her butt to get him a good deal. So yeah, she's totally going to call Miami Metro the second she sees Oliver Saxon on the news. Which, of course, should lead Miami Metro right to Dexter. But oh yes, Miami Metro in this universe is the most incompetent police force on God's green earth. Remember, folks, the only reason that Dexter has not been thrown in jail 100 times at this point is because he's the protagonist. Oh yeah, hey, remember that time he beat an innocent guy to death in a bathroom just for being a jerk? No, I'm never, ever, 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 ever going to let that go. Anyway, now one thing I did also liked about this episode is when Dexter first finds the videos of Saxon killing his victims. My first thought is, okay, Dexter, why don't you email that to the cops or to the media? I mean, you've even said at this point that you don't really care what happens to Saxon so long as he goes down. And I was like, oh, really, Dexter, are you not going to do something as obvious as that? And then the episode turned around, surprised me, and had him do exactly that, for a perfectly logical reason, to draw Saxon to him. And I have to say that I like when shows do that. I like when I see what I think is a problem with the plot, and then the show addresses it. You know, it makes me feel like the writers are basically not treating me like a freaking moron. Although, speaking of freaking moron, look at Dead's excuse to the whole thing with Hannah McKay. It's like, I took Harrison to the hospital. You know, the nurse mistook me and somehow mistook me for Hannah McKay. Okay, Deb, unless this marshal, it was a U.S. marshal that I believe it was, unless he is the biggest moron who is not in Miami Metro, he's probably already looked at the security camera footage from the hospital and seen frickin' Hannah McKay on the camera. Oh, right. Security cameras only exist on Dexter when it's convenient. I love this show, folks. I really do. But sometimes it just asks me to not think about so very much. Really, it does. Man, can you imagine if this show was set in London instead of Miami? I mean, London has more security cameras than just about any other city on Earth. No way would somebody like Dexter be able to operate there. On the other hand, hey, maybe it's pretty darn fun to see him take on Sherlock, wouldn't it? Whew, can't wait for the new season of that. Ooh, yeah, such a good show. Okay, now, another thing that I did like this episode is we get a lot of really nice stuff with Dexter and Deb. And after just how things were with them, you know, in the very recent past, just seeing them there, you know, the real brother and sister bond between them, that was highlighted so well, and I really enjoyed it this episode. And Deb, in this episode, really delivers what I think in many ways is the coda for the TV version of Dexter. And that it's not the code that made Dexter a good person. It's that despite what Dexter thought for all those years, despite what he convinced himself of, what so many other people, including his own biological brother, thought of him, there was still good in Dexter. The good in Dexter did not die in that shipping container along with his mother. And the people around him, Deb, the idiots at Miami Metro, Rita and her family, Cody, Astor, Harrison, Jamie, all those people, they brought out the real good in Dexter. They made the mask become who the man really was. And that's what leads to Dexter's epiphany in all of this. He realizes that he can let go of that dark side of him. Not completely. It's always going to be there. I mean, Brother Sam found God, and even he admitted his darkness was always there. And it probably always will be. In fact, there's no probably. The darker sides of our nature are always going to be with all of us. We all have our own dark passengers. It doesn't take a horrible murder or tragedy or violence. It's just part of our nature as human beings. And it's always there. Always here. Always whispering to us. But like Dexter, we can choose not to listen to it. We can choose to walk a better path. We can choose to let the people that we love strengthen us. We can simply choose to be good people. It's not always an easy choice. It's not always a clear choice. But the choice is always there. And that's what it all leads into. Before this little epiphany that Dexter has, Saxon has this really nice speech where he talks about the Cuban food in Miami and the homicide rate. The solve rate is only something like 20%. And if you really have been paying attention to the show, you'll realize that's identical to the speech one of the speeches that Dexter gives in basically the first episode. The first time we get to hear him say things like, "Tonight's the night," and "It's going to happen again and again and again. It has to." Do you remember that? Do you remember when Dexter said those things? Remember that first episode? You remember the chill that ran down your spine when you heard it? When you heard those words come out of Michael C. Hall's mouth? When you first realized that, yeah, this is what I'm getting into. What a thrill, huh? What a thrill. And what a ride it's been. And it's a ride that brings us to this moment where Dexter realizes that he can just simply turn Saxon over to the cops. He can walk away. He can go off. He can go off to Argentina. He can choose not to be the one sitting in the driver's seat, not the dark passenger. He can choose to be the good person that Harry had always wanted him to be. I mean, Harry even says Dexter doesn't need him anymore. So, no, Harry doesn't need the code. But now Saxon's on the loose. Deb's been shot. And everything Dexter has ever wanted, everything that he values, is once again on the line, perhaps more so than ever. So, where does this quote-unquote new Dexter find him? What does he do? What does this new Dexter do? He's only got one episode. One episode to make or break, to make one final choice between who he wants to be and whoever is behind that facade. So who's going to emerge victorious? Is it going to be new Dexter? Is it going to be the dark passenger? Is it going to be something we haven't even imagined? I don't know. And for all the highs and lows this show has put me through, I gotta say, I'm really, really looking forward to finding out. I think it's going to be a satisfying ending. I've repeatedly said that throughout these reviews of this season. And while we certainly had our lows, we've also had some nice highs. And I have enough faith in the people behind the show that I think things are going to go out on a good note. So anyway, guys, that's everything I have for you this time around. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi. Until next time, take care and have a good one.